That's not supposed to happen.
Women of Reddit, what do men do that they think is okay but is actually creepy? Catcalling. Like, in what world is someone gonna turn around and be appreciative instead of creeped out? When a man tells to me sentences like, "You're cute when you're angry," or "You're thoroughly unattractive when you're condescending." A previous neighbor of mine who was around 45 and I was 25. We lived in a house split into apartments, so we shared a yard. He would water my flowers, spread mulch onto my flower beds, and clean my gutters, etc. without asking beforehand if I wanted or needed him to help, but he'd always tell me afterward he had done it. I was already kind of worried about what he expected from me, so I thanked him with a six-pack, which seemed to disappoint him. He also said numerous times that he worries about me living alone, and he'd protect me if I ever had an intruder or anything. Which, okay, thanks. I decided he was just a generous person. He introduced me to the other neighbors, and once in a while we all go out down the road, and he'd pay for everyone. So I thought, okay, this is just how he is. And I thought that until I looked up from my couch around 11 p.m., and he was standing in my flower bed staring through my window, with his hands cupped around his eyes. He grinned and tapped on the glass like, "Hey, come here, let's talk." So I went outside. I was waiting on a friend to come pick me up, to find him wearing what I think was a suit, swaying, and very drunk. And he says, "Let's go out." I was like, "Hey, sorry, I've got plans with a friend tonight." So he interrogates me about what kind of friend. It was a guy. Then out comes the list of all the things he's done for me. How he had never let anyone hurt me. How even though he's old enough to be my father. I asked, "Do you mean go out on a date?" Mumbles, "Yeah, kind of." I said I didn't think of him that way, and that he was right. I kind of did put him in the category of people my father's age. Then he got mad, saying things like, "Wow, so that's how you're gonna be, huh?" And I was just so surprised and had no idea what to do. So I just started apologizing. A guy started dancing with me on the dance floor at a club, and me and a friend left for the bathroom. She grabbed my hand and led me away, and he grabbed my other hand. She kept a tight hold and so did he, so I'm stuck like Jesus on the cross in a packed dance floor, because this creeper didn't want to lose sight of me. I was a half second away from stepping on his foot and elbowing him in self-defense mode, before a random girl grabbed my arm where he held me and wrenched his grip away. I didn't have time to thank her before running into the crowd. But she saved me big time. If a girl wants to leave, let her. She either wants to get away or will come back. And if she wants to come back and you're creepy like that, guarantee you she won't. Consistent pursuit. In my senior year of high school, a junior guy kept pursuing me. We were in a math class together and had after-school practices for theater. This was my first year in any production. My goals that year were to try something new and maybe make some new friends. Enter junior. It started off as friendly conversations. Things we had in common. He was nice and funny, but not my type. There was no spark for me. He asked me out. I said no. He was polite about my rejection and I figured we'd be friends. About 2 months into the school year, he said that he was having a bunch of the cast over for a party that week. Sure. Who doesn't like a party? When I got to his house, it was just him, his family, and me. I thought I was early. No problem. I sat in the living room and we talked. 15 minutes later I texted a friend and told her to call me as soon as possible and fake an emergency because my gut felt off. By the time she calls, I've been there about 35 minutes. His mom is almost done cooking dinner, no one else has shown up, and his dad had made a passing remark about his son bringing such a nice girl for dinner. That was the official red flag. I knew Junior hadn't invited anyone over. I noped out of there saying my sister had locked herself out of the house and she needed my key. I ignored him as much as I could after that. One-word responses when he asked me things. Minimal interaction during class and practice. He asked me out 3 more times. Either oblivious or ignorant to my retraction. The last time was to prom, and he knew I had started dating someone. He played it off as, "Oh no, I meant both of you come with me." I had to drop out of theater that spring due to a band conflict. And it ended up being a blessing because it got me away from him. It's a tame example, but it still gives me the creeps when I remember him. It's not most men at all, but there was one man who acted super creepy and seemed to think it was fine. I worked with this guy back when I was 18. The two of us and some other co-workers would hang out all the time, and I was generally friendly with him, same sort of friendly as I would use with anyone else. But I guess it made him obsessed with me. For about 5 years he would constantly message me, telling me how amazing I am. He clearly seemed to think that was a good idea. And it would make me feel good and I guess make me into him. Or maybe he already thought I was into him. The point is, if someone turns you down, they probably aren't playing hard to get. Try once. If they turn you down, and you suspect they're playing this stupid hard to get game, then ask them directly. Don't pester them constantly for years. That is a scary behavior. And yes, I did block the guy eventually. Then he started making alternative accounts to add me with. That is where we're getting into stalker territory. When someone says no, you should back out. Not turn into a stalker. And messaging me daily about how beautiful I am is not a nice compliment. It's scary. Especially after making it clear nothing's going to happen. Following me for any distance. I was once followed 20 blocks by a man trying to basically get me to go home with him. Mind you, I had my headphones in to make it clear I wasn't listening. Although they were off, I just do it so most creeps don't approach. But my goodness, he didn't let up. I never even looked at him the whole time he followed me. He didn't leave till I finally spotted a police officer and started walking in that direction. I even asked to be left alone and had my pepper spray in hand visible. Just kept calling me gorgeous, and asking if my boyfriend treated me right. All ignored. Today I was grabbing some food. Drive-through is a once-in-a-blue-moon treat. And the cashier says, "Damn girl, you're pretty." Here I am in my business suit and blazer, like, "Thanks." Then he goes, "Are you a princess or something?" I say nothing. He hands me my food. "Bye pretty girl, hope I see you again." I know that to the outside observer that seems innocent. But if I'm trapped waiting in my car, I don't want to have to respond to your flirting. Don't flirt with women who are unable to leave. And it makes me very uncomfortable to be called a pretty girl and princess when I'm clearly an adult woman in formal business attire. Feels like I'm not being respected. I'm a woman, not a girl. Oh man. I went and applied for a job once. Interviewed and got the job. And started walking back home. One of the drivers took off from the store to follow me. And pulled into the space I was next to. And asked me my name, and if I got the job. He was like 6'3" and 300 pounds and hugely creepy. Kept telling me how pretty I was. And kept trying to give me a ride to my home. I kept telling him no. And he kept pressuring me. Finally, I told him I was married. And his response was, "So what? Just give me your number." And I finally just ignored him and speed walked into the closest open store and straight into the women's bathroom instead of going home. I almost decided not to take the job. But there were not very many options where I had moved. When I told some of the other girls that works there about what happened, they told me he had done the same thing to all of them. Even following some girls to their house and driving by periodically. The dude was freaking already married too. Thankfully he ended up getting fired and moving away a few weeks later. But I still get nervous walking anywhere now. Few years ago I lived in Pittsburgh. I didn't have a car, and when I needed litter or hay or treats, I'd walk a few miles and buy en masses. And strap items to my back to walk home. One time a guy stopped me to chat, offered to help me take my stuff home and kept insisting when I said nah, I'm good, I do this all the time. I maybe shouldn't have told him home wasn't very far away. I finally told him my roommate probably wouldn't approve of a random guy coming in. He paused, looked like he was digesting this information, and asked if my roommate was male or female. I said male and he actually backed off quickly, like he physically left within seconds of hearing it. Richard Harrow was my roommate at the time, and he is a bunny. But really? I had to resort to that? If you'd said here's my number, no pressure to call it, I just think you're interesting. That'd have been fine. But repeatedly inviting yourself into my home after you notice me walking is severely inappropriate. I hope this guy was just a social derp. At my work, we ask phone numbers for our club and countless times I've been asked if I will personally call them. The answer is no. Then, what's your number? My reply, I don't have a phone. Or, oh you want my number? And a creepy older guy like 70s. Well, what's your number sweetheart? Me, no. Him. Well I'm not gonna stop asking until there's a ring on this finger. Tapping my left ring finger. I yanked my hand away so fast and I was new at the job so I didn't want to make a scene, and just said have a great day. Talking badly about their ex and their kids. I'm a single middle-aged woman. I don't know what's going on with some men, but a lot of them regret having kids and are mad about having to give money to their ex to raise them. I'm not talking about unreasonable amount of money, but for example $100 for 2 kids at the beginning of a school year. And of course their ex is crazy for asking for it. She's the one who wanted kids. Some have complained about having to spend time with them. Why are they telling me this? We just met. It makes them seem so mean and cheap. When I am walking down the sidewalk, follow me slowly in a car while trying to talk to me. I hate this.